Hi! In this episode, we'll see how to create nested routes and templates. In previous episode, we used route method to define simple routes, but Ember gives us another way to do it, resource method. So let's try it out. For that, we just define this resource and then provide the name of the resource friends. Well, that was easy. If we go to browser, reload the page and go to our Ember inspector and go to routes, we'll see that this statement created absolutely the same result as the simple route did. It created friends route, friends controller, objects, friends template, and friends URL. So what's the difference? What is it good for then? Well, the resource can have sub-routes and sub-resources. So let's say that friends will have some issues. Well, I didn't say that our application would make any sense, right? So we want to have something like this in our URL, like friends/issues. Okay, for that, we need to pass the second parameter to the resource, a function, and inside of this function define new route, and we call it issues, like such. So now if we go to the browser and reload the page and go again to the Ember routes, we'll see an amazing thing. Not only the friends issue was created, but also 3 additional routes were created: loading, error, and index. So all of them now are inside this friends template, which by default is a simple outlet. So let's have a look. Let's go to index.html, and inside here, let's define new template and we call it friends. So by default, this friends template is just an outlet. So all sub-templates will be rendered right into here. So we have the ability to tweak it and to add additional content, additional wrappers, etc. So for example, right now we will do something like h2 tag with the content my friends. So now let's define friends issue template. So we'll do friends issues and just h3 issues. So now if we go back to browser and go to friends, we'll see my friends h2 tag, and if we go to issues, we'll see that issues content was rendered right into the outlet. So now you can see how the nested templates are working. Right here in Ember template, you can see in a view tree that we have the following tree. We have the application, inside of it we have the friends, and inside of it we have friends issues. One important thing I wanted to point out: resources could be nested as well. So instead of using route in our app.js file right here, we could use resource. But if we do this and go to browser and reload the page, we'll see nothing. We do not have issues here. And that happens because while URL is still have the same nested format, if we go to Ember inspector into the routes, you'll see here that issues have absolutely the same URL format. But make notice that objects are not the same. They do not have this prefix friends and a template. So you can see we do not have here the friends slash. So basically, resource is independent entity. So while it's still nested into another route, but from the naming convention, it is a simple class name. Each resource will have this independent class, and each route inside of the resource will have this prefix of the parent resource. So to fix this, let's go to index.html and remove this friends prefix from the template. If we go back to browser, reload the page, and issues are back. So this could be a very tricky thing for newcomers. Just keep in mind this naming convention. So now we know how to use routes, but not all routes are so simple, right? Sometimes we need to pass parameter like ID or something like that. So let's say that on our friends page, we want to have here the list of links of all our friends. And clicking on this link will take us to the about page of this particular friend. So what we want to have in a URL is something like ID and then about. So let's go to app.js file, and right here let's define another nested route and we call it about. And as a second parameter we can specify the configuration object, and one of the attributes that we can override is a path. So inside of this path we can do friend ID about. So we add this second attribute, which is a configuration object, in which we specify the path for this route. Every word that begins with colon becomes the dynamic part of the URL, and it will be passed to route object. And we could use then this information, this ID, for example, to fetch the particular user from the database or from the store of our application. So now that we define this route, let's have a look in the inspector. And as you can see, here it is, friends about, and it has the URL that we really want. It has the template friends/about, and it has the friends about route. So in this route, we will fetch the particular friend. Okay, so let's go to index.html file, and here inside of our friends, let's define for now the hard-coded list of our friends, like this. So I use link to helper, and the first parameter, as usual, is the route name, and you can see that we specify the nested routes using dot notation. So we have friends, and then the nested route is about. And as a second parameter, we provide friends ID, but it also can be the friends object if we had one. So now we need to define this friends about route. So let's go back here and let's define route, and we call it friends about, and inside of it we define the modal hook, and what this function returns is assigned to the controller.model property, and so it will be considered as model from the template. This function takes params object, where all dynamic parts are stored. In our case, we have only one, the friend ID, so to get the value of the provided friend ID, we need to do something like params friend ID. Okay, that's simple enough. So now let's create global object with a collection of our friends. I will do it right here at the top. In real world, this collection will be fetched from server. But to keep it as simple as possible, let's just define this collection right here like such. So we have the JavaScript array of JavaScript objects. Each object is just a friend record. We have ID, we have name, and we have about. So now we can fetch the ID right here in the model. So let's do this. So we return app.friends, and we use the Ember method findBy. And it takes the attribute name, ID in our case, and then the value by which we want to find the object. That's going to be, of course, params friend ID. Okay, so we have a route. This route takes dynamic part as a friend ID. Then in a friends about route, we define the modal hook, which will return the friend with a specific ID. Now we need the about route. So we go to index.html and let's define this friends about. And it will be very easy. We will just have the paragraph tag with name, and about. Okay, so now let's go to browser, reload the page, and you can see that we have this list of friends that we have, but nothing happens here. So if we click on it, it's empty. It doesn't work. So that happens because right now our modal hook doesn't work as it should, because in friend modal here, in friend object, we have ID as an integer. But everything, every parameter, every data that was passed by URL is in a string format. So we need to cast this parameter to the int. So we'll do parse int like this. So now let's go back, reload the page, and now we have the data. So we have, I just reloaded the page with friends/3, ID 3 is Henry, and it displayed Henry kind, or Mary smart, or John funny. So it works. So last thing to do is to make our list of friends dynamic. So right now we hard-coded in index.html everything, IDs and everything like that, but what we want to get this collection of friends and iterate through it and create the list of our actual friends. Okay, now our friends template doesn't have any model associated with it, so we need to do it, and as we already know, this is a responsibility of a route object. So we need to create another route object. Let's create it right here, and we call it friends. And again, we specify modal hook, and inside of it, we just return our friends collection, like this. Now we need to go to index.html, and inside of here, we'll use iterator, each handlebars template, and we'll iterate through model. So this model is actually the collection of our friends. And we can do it also with friend in model. So this way we can refer to the friend. And inside here, instead of hard-coding ID or providing friend ID, we can provide the object itself. And instead of John, we can provide actually the name. Let's remove this and let's close each. So again, here we iterate through all the collection and then rendering links to each friend. Let's save it, go to browser, reload the page and everything, and it doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't work because of course we have the friend here, right? So we have friend and we need to prefix this with a friend.name. So let's try it again, reload the page, and everything is working as it was working before. Excellent. Okay, it's assignment time. To practice these ideas, I propose you to create a list of something, say books, like I did here. So we have a books, and on the left side, we have the list of all available books. And clicking on each of them will display the information, the details about this book. Very simple. Again, if we open Inspector, you can see in a view tree that I have application template, and inside of it we have books template, and inside of it books detail. Okay, in this episode we learned how to use nested routes and templates. We deepened our knowledge about link to helper and saw how to implement dynamic URLs. So thank you very much for your time and see you in the next episode.